Bushi. First of all, I'd like to apologize for the few days we've been offline. It's due to measures beyond our control. We apologize for that and we wish to tell you that we're back again. Thank you very much for joining us. And as usual, today I have with me uh, the person I connote as my learned colleague. Apology to the lawyers.
I hope they will not
Good
sue us one day.
my regular analyst in the studio, a very well informed person. I have him again in the studio with me today, Mr. Remy Adebayo. Thank you for being in the studio.
Thank you very much, ma. It's my
It's nice
pleasure
having
to
you around again.
be here again.
Yes, and today we'll be discussing something quite cogent in this Yuletide season. And the issue we're talking about is security, especially in Abuja and then all over the nation. But here in Abuja, this Yuletide season, of course, the Yuletide season brings a lot of crime, scams, and all sorts. Everyone trying to raise money to do beyond what they should do, and as such, doing a lot of things that are illegal and wrong, and as such, against humanity. And so today, we'll be talking about the security situation and how can you save yourself from being a victim in this security, in this tender security era. That's what Mr. Adebayo will be talking about today. He'll be talking to us on how to be safe in this Yuletide season. Yes, it's not a security personnel, but he's a person who has been in and out of Abuja for a long time and understands the security, especially at this time. Mr. Adebayo, thank you very much for coming.
Thanks so much, ma.
First of all, I want to ask you, Abuja city does not have a proper transport system.
Mm.
What I mean by proper transport system, if you go to places like Lagos, you find the BRT, you find buses, you find cars, you find so many means of transportation, and you find even branded. Most of them are branded. They are known. They pay revenue to the government. If anything goes wrong, you can run to the government and say this particular person. In fact, when you miss some goods, you go to the garage and report. Most times they return the goods back to the garage. But here in Abuja, it looks like it's a holy kind of system where everybody is a transporter. There's no particular car branded for transportation. Can you just elaborate on that?
Thank you very much, ma. Yes, in Abuja, the nation's capital, the heart of the nation and the image of our nation, Nigeria, what is expected, not just by Nigerians, but also by visitors that may be visiting a place like this, is that you see a functional transport system that connotes that the public could commute between a destination to another seamlessly without the threat or the fear of insecurity. For those that have been in this city for long, they will always remember and tell you that there is a El-Rufai bus.
Wow.
The El-Rufai bus, of course, came to be when the former minister of the FCT, who is now the governor of Kaduna State, Malam Nasir El-Rufai, came. He was the minister then. He actually enforced a lot of master plan innovations about the FCT, brought in, he developed many housing unit estates here and there in the so-called satellite towns, even in places that you would never think that civil servants would want to live. There was that initiative that that got government thinking about development and infrastructure, and he did not leave out the issue of transport, what do you call it, transportation in his planning. And that's why, as at that time, I was not in Abuja then, but even we still see the signature now. You go around and you see the Abuja long buses that are so called the El-Rufai buses. So that they are numbers. But, we keep wondering, maybe the so-called maintenance culture in Nigeria, that after El-Rufai, that has not got to really be functional again. Then I was in Abuja in 2010, 2011 when the administration of the former president Goodluck Jonathan came, and at the confusion period that came around the removal of the what do you call it, oil subsidy. from the petroleum sector, like we are trying to do now. People went on the street. I remember the Occupy Nigeria that happened in that period, and people were like, no. But that government came and said, no, we will provide palliatives. We would look at where we can put this money into, so that workers who will be the direct victims, let me put it that way, of this policy can move from one point to the other with ease. And then they said that they were going to roll out some what do you call it, buses. Of course, we saw that here in the FCT. I'm sure some states also got that as well. And in the past, we know, at least I grew up to see some buses with federal mass assisted transport system, where government used to fund, the private sector. Maybe they organize them into communities, either cooperatives or whatever. They give them this kind of assistance to support at reduced rate, owner purchase or whatever it is that they used to say. But then, for an FCT, where after El-Rufai left, you can hardly see some of these vehicles again. You can stand on the road from maybe Gwarimpa going to Asokoro, or people coming from Kefi to Asokoro, to city center, or people coming all the way from around Gwagwala, other axis. You can see few of these vehicles compared with the population of the FCT. The growing population that could be said to have been occasioned by the insecurity in the northeast and northwest, where people were migrating to the heart of the nation, of course, has put so much pressure on infrastructure and facilities in the FCT. Transport sector is not isolated. So with this, the only option that is left for the people, for those who live in the city center, who can afford it, is to either go through the Uber or Bolt route, if they don't have personal vehicles that they can work with,
which is quite expensive,
which is a bit expensive for, of course, or the what has become the norm in the FCT is that when people come, if I have a car and I'm leaving my house in the morning, I have to carry people, I can put 4 behind, I can put two to join me at the front. Then that is how it has been. Is that okay? I don't think it is proper. I think that we have a minister in the FCT. The FCT minister's status in government is just like the governor of the FCT. And I know that with the budgeting and appropriation that comes to the FCT annually, a thought should go to the workers and residents in the FCT to think about, if they want to think about the movement, you should be able to consider the security situation, especially where we are now. We have had instances where people were kidnapped. The popular one chance menace, where people move from people move from one point to another. We heard reliably from one of our colleagues today that someone was kidnapped in front of the force headquarters here in Abuja, and was taken to a location in Guzapi and spent like 4 days there before it was eventually released to go. So these are the instances, these are the things that we experience in the FCT, that if we have regulated transport system, where that this vehicle that is coming, whether it's a bus or minibus, is a government painted. It has an identity.
Yes, it has an identity.
That individual will know that putting myself inside this particular bus or whatever it is will not put my life at risk.
At least to a large extent.
At least to a large extent. I know that things happen. We have seen the case of Bamishe in Lagos.
But it will be minimal.
But it will be so much minimal. It will be at very, very
it's really different
reduced
from
rate.
just anybody coming.
Yes, but this one, no doubt, you get to the park or to the bus stop, and you have to get home, and you do not know who the individual that picks you from point A to point B is. Whether it's a terrorist, whether it's a kidnapper, whether it's an armed robber, whoever it is,
making the system very porous.
You get people so much vulnerable to to such evils when we don't have this kind of arrangement in place.
Yes, thank you very much. And you have spoken about the former Minister of States for the FCT,
Former minister of the FCT.
Yes, former minister of the FCT,
Yes.
who had buses and other means of transportation for people, who had branded ones. Now, are we saying that those means of transportation that were released at that time, they have reduced because of lack of maintenance? Or is it that the present minister is not improving on the transportation system like to be at par with the influx of people?
I think what I would say is that there's no policy in place that suggests that the government in the FCT today, like I said, I was not in the FCT when El-Rufai was the minister, but today there's nothing that shows that there is a government that thinks about the transportation
And security.
Yeah, I won't say security, but let's say, we're talking of this transportation
No,
as
it's
it is.
because of the youth.
Yes,
It's
yes,
a
I
major
understand now.
source of concern.
Yes,
in
I understand.
security.
Because if you look at what El-Rufai left, they are not maintained. We have, what do you call is it bus farms or whatever that you see everywhere? We have some along this route, what do you call it, Asokoro, this road. There's one around this, I think around Katampi, or what do they call it? You see those buses there, they are abandoned.
So they reduce
I've
by the
seen-
day.
It's not as if
because
there
of
is, it's like they are not
maintenance
even working.
existing. Wow.
It's not as if they are not existing. The ones that are, the old one, it's just the case of our refineries. You have refineries that are not maintained and you are not building new one. The minister of the FCT that I know, the one that is there, Malam Bello Muhammad, has not added to me. I've not seen anything added to
The FCT.
the one that is on the ground. So there is nothing to show that there is anything from the government of the FCT, or maybe, like I said the other time, government can say that no, we have no business directly involving ourselves in running buses. But we have transport unions in Abuja. You have business people in Abuja.
There are even a lot of private.
There are a lot of people,
public-private
yes,
partnership now in transportation.
So government could have said, okay, fine, we have this policy, we have an idea. We don't want people to leave AYA to go to Kubwa, go to Gwarimpa, go to what do you call it, Zuba, or leaving area 1 to go to Gwagwalada with vehicles that they do not know. No, because they don't know who is who. And we are talking about a period where everybody is concerned about the security
movements.
and everything. So what do you do? Get these people. Whatever it is that you can do, PPP, public-private partnership with them, get to them, arrange on what measure of commission or sharing formula it is that will make you to buy more and maintain.
After all,
those
the
that are here.
keke is being managed.
Yes.
If that can be managed well, then it means other vehicles.
There are
can be
individuals
managed.
that are managing keke, and unfortunately, area councils, depending on the location, take is it dues or whatever it
Yes,
is.
revenues. They
They
pay
take
revenues
revenues from this keke every day.
them.
They get people on the road. You see them on the road at fast 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock that are
Yes,
enforcing
very
it.
early.
So I think that same thing could be replicated in this way. If you come out of the Abuja, depending of the from the axis that you are coming from Suleja, this axis, you are coming from Lugbe axis, you are coming from Kefi axis. If you see the number of vehicles that hit the road every day,
Unbranded.
private people.
Wow.
We are talking about private cars. We are talking about people that are helping themselves. The government of the FCT has outlawed that buses should come into the city center for some years now. So it is people that are going to work that help another people
So
on
it
the
is,
road.
it is a help now.
So if it is a help, whoever is giving you a ride is
Whether you
helping
are
you,
paying or
whether
not.
you are paying or not, because you have no alternative than that individual giving you a ride. So that is what is happening. Imagine if you have like in an hour you have like 1,000 vehicles or cars coming from Gwarimpa, Axis, trooping into the city center. Imagine you have 1,000 of that. If you have buses, these big buses that can take like 50 people, you can imagine the number of vehicles that you have taken off the road. So you can imagine how you have saved people's travel time, how the reproductive period that they're supposed to use to work will have been conserved, because many people waste a lot of time on the road. By the time you drive and you are spending like 2-3 hours, by the time you get to work, you are fatigued.
You are almost useless. For
You are almost
to yourself.
useless, and the young
and to even to the organization,
and even to the government that you want to work for. So that's why I think that security-wise, productivity-wise, health-wise, stress level, management of our road system, and everything should boil down to how government can assist to decongest the road and guarantee safety by thinking of what it is that can take people from their destinations. If you want to allow the boats and everything to walk in the city center, it is fine. But then, what about the number of people that come from other places?
So thank you very much, Mr. Adebayo. Now, we have talked about the government aspect. Now to the people, with the Yuletide season now, a lot of people will troop out, a lot will troop in.
Yes.
So many activities outside even, and virtually all activities have to do with transportation. There's hardly an activity that takes place without transportation. There has to be a means of, and only very few fraction can travel by air. The larger percentage will travel by road. Considering now that, yes, the rail has started, but how many people will have the guts, so to say, to go through the rail, considering the insecurity or considering the experience in the past? So it means the road is going to be very busy again. What's your advice to commuters? Number one, how well can they identify who a kidnapper is? I know that is a very big question, $1 million question, but from your experiences, from your travelings, from what you have gathered from people, you can give just a bit of advice. What do we do to save ourselves, since every individual in Nigeria is a nation?
Yes, I agree with you totally that it's a time that people want to reunite with their families. People want to go home. Someone would always say that Abuja is a melting point. All of us come and work in the heart of the nation, but when the chiefs are down, all of us go back to where we come from. And the Yuletide season being what it is, people are in festive mood. They want to go and enjoy and relax after working for almost about 12 calendar months. Yes, what can people do? People first have to understand the mood of the period. Is the period when the money or the resources that somebody has not made from January to November, they want to make it now, because they want to go home and they want to go and showcase that I'm in the FCT. I'm a big boy. I have money. I can show you. I am not a pauper. That is one certainty that we have to look at. And what does that translate to is the fact that there will be the surge in criminality. You want to get what does not belong to you. People want to go the extra mile, including going the illegal route to make money and to attain the I call it pseudo success that has not been there. You want to go the ungodly route to impress.
Inhumanity will
increase. Inhumanity will increase. So the first thing is for people to understand that we are in a very precarious period, and that that awareness alone should come with certain measure of security awareness as well. What can people do? First, we should be vigilant. Like we used to say, that security is not just about guns and boats.
Oh, yes.
Security is about information. Security is about vigilance. Security is about awareness. Security is about knowing something and saying something. Security is about putting your ears closer to the ground more than you could have ordinarily done. Don't say that because we have police around, we have DSS, we have army, I'm not concerned. No. The police, the DSS, the army, and all security agencies that you can talk about, they work with something that we call intelligence. What is intelligence? Intelligence is the information that is volunteered by the people for them to work on, and that is why they call it actionable intelligence.
However irrelevant the information
Sincerely,
is.
I don't think that security agencies, they have a means of sieving through the information to know. I live in a community where at times people will see strange people and they go and call police, and police will not hesitate, they will come. It is after coming and they profile I mean, whatever it is that you have presented to them, I say, okay, there's no harm in this. And if there's any form of harm, they move
Should have
the
been
suspect
avoided.
at least to avert certain things. That is what we have to understand. Number two, people should not be over ambitious. It is good to look good. It is good to buy new clothes, new shoes. It is good to buy car or elephant if you can. But see, what I believe is that what an average Nigerian should aim towards, or any human being, is to have a good health. If you are celebrating either Eid festival or Christmas or Easter or anything, if you have good health and you do not indulge in criminality, if what you want to celebrate with this year is not available this year,
It will
if
be
you have
available
good health next year, you target more, you work more,
And
it will be
better.
available than now. Then for travelers, because that is where we are talking, we are looking at now. For travelers, because of the economic situation of the country, you notice that sometimes when people want to travel, they want to bypass the process. If you know you are traveling by road, the best interstate channel that I will recommend for anybody is to go
To the
to
park.
a government recognized park.
Not standing on
Don't
the road
start
and
by the
looking for
road
cheap-
and be looking for cheap ones. You don't know who that cheap transporter is. That cheap transporter could be a terrorist, could be a bandit,
and they dangle
could be
carrots to
and
attract
yes,
you.
and once you are there, how do you get yourself rescued? It becomes problem. Another thing that I would say, sincerely, I think this is the most important thing, is to pray to God. There's no way anybody should underrate the power of God. There is something that is called instinct. We think that instinct is just about feelings.
No,
There are times that God tells you certain things. I have seen people that say that I wanted to enter into that car or into that bus, but something happened, I just didn't go. And by the time they moved some meters or anything, they
was an
met
accident.
accidents. You know, if we pray so much, we take serious precautionary measure like we are talking about now, then night travels should be avoided at a time
as
like
much
this.
as possible.
My father taught me, even when I was young, that always aim to travel towards sunrise.
Not
Some people,
sunset.
not sunset. Some people want to travel from one location to another. They say, "Is it not that Lokoja?
Then wait
Where
till
will
4.
I go to
By 4 I will
Lokoja?
take
By
off.
4? By the 4 you are going. You are
Can't be
traveling
sure of
with
what
mechanical
trailer,
things.
What trailer has even
Maybe something has
fallen
broken down on the road.
causing a severe
So
hold
when you travel towards sunset, you are traveling with a vehicle.
risk.
It is mechanical device. Anything can happen. It can break down. But when it happens during the daytime, you can easily find help. Somebody can wait for you. You can easily locate maybe mechanic or whoever it is that will help you. But when you travel at night and that happen at night, who
Who will help?
will help you? And you make yourself vulnerable to all those
Attacks.
criminal elements that we're talking about. So we should always be conscious of it. And see, if you want to travel, even when you do this travel in the park, please be conscious of who your driver is.
Yes.
They may not
Find
be,
out.
yes, they may
Because
not be
some of them-
kidnappers, they are not, but all these people have taken paraga,
shepe.
they are drunk, and what happened is that at that period they want to make more money. The trips that they should go like maybe
7 hours.
7
They want
hours,
to
they want
take
to
it in
make it
5
in 4
hours.
hours if possible, so that they can come back and make more money. We should be very, very careful about this. We should ask questions. We'll be vigilant. When we say things, let us say things. And